Theory number 1. Suge Knight eliminated Eazy-E and Tupac. Eazy-E's death is where suspicion starts. He went from announcing he has AIDS to passing away in a matter of weeks, unusually fast for the mid-90s when most cases progressed over years. Neither his wife or newborn son tested HIV positive. That detail always gets mentioned because late-stage HIV transmission rates in that era were extremely high in partners and infants. Then there's Suge Knight on Jimmy Kimmel Live. He laughed about injecting someone with AIDS blood, calling it the Eazy-E thing. It wasn't a joke people forget. It was specific, dark, and tied directly to Eazy-E's death method. Business conflict adds weight. In the early 90s, Suge and Eazy were battling over Dr. Dre, Ruthless Records artists, and the future of West Coast rap money. Suge famously confronted Eazy-E during the NWA/Death Row transition period, using threats and force to get Dre released from his contract. Taking out Eazy meant removing a major competitor and clearing the lane for Death Row's rise. Tupac's situation mirrors similar motives. By late 1996, Tupac was fulfilling his Death Row deal and preparing to launch Makaveli Records, his own label, his own artists, and his own money pipeline. Pac even mentioned wanting to sign future artists himself and shift power away from the label. That meant Suge would lose one of the biggest stars in rap history and lose leverage. The shooting raises questions. Pac was shot inside a BMW being driven by Suge Knight. Tupac was hit multiple times. Suge, sitting inches away, walked away with a small cut from bullet glass. A close-range hit on a moving vehicle, and the passenger who should have been equally targeted leaves nearly untouched. It looked precise, not chaotic. And then there's the fight at the MGM Grand that same night. Tupac and his crew jumped Orlando Anderson, a known Southside Crip. Law enforcement framed the shooting as retaliation, but the theory suggests the fight might have been staged or encouraged, giving the perfect public motive for Pac's murder, while real planning happened elsewhere. LAPD and Vegas PD never linked Suge to the crime, but he benefits from Pac never exiting his contract, never launching his own label, and never walking away with the power he was building. Theory number 2. Diddy arranged Biggie's death. This theory claims Biggie's murder wasn't just the result of the East vs West Coast feud, but tied to internal business motives connected to Diddy and Bad Boy Records. Biggie died in Los Angeles on March 9, 1997. He was in the middle of renegotiating his contract and had reportedly talked about starting his own label, potentially reducing Diddy's control and future profits if Biggie left. There were major security questions that night. Biggie and Diddy left a high-profile industry party hosted by Vibe and Quest Records. LAPD was on site for security. Despite that, the shooter pulled up beside their SUV at a red light and escaped without being stopped or identified. Multiple witnesses say the car drove directly toward the convoy with precision, as if it knew the route and timing. Former LAPD detective Russell Poole later claimed corrupt LAPD officers tied to death row, including David Mack, may have been involved. Poole believed the murder had inside assistance and connected the hit car to associates of those officers. The theory branches here. Some point this towards Suge Knight, others say if LAPD corruption was involved, the operation would need industry coordination and financial motive, not a random street shooting. There's also the insurance angle and catalog ownership. After Biggie's death, Diddy retained control of Bad Boy's publishing rights, and Biggie's posthumous catalog exploded in value, with Life After Death selling millions shortly after release. Another detail conspiracy theorists bring up, Diddy hired Gene Deal as head of security. Deal later claimed there were unusual security decisions that night, including sudden route changes and vehicles being separated. Deal also said he believed Biggie's death wasn't street retaliation, but a calculated move involving people with information inside the industry structure. No one has ever been charged for Biggie's murder. LAPD kept the case open, then sealed part of the files. Poole later resigned, claiming a cover-up. Theory number 3. Nipsey Hussle was killed for the Dr. Sebi connection. This theory claims Nipsey Hussle's death was connected to his work, highlighting Dr. Sebi and his growing influence in business, health awareness, and community empowerment. Nipsey wasn't just making music. He was building tech workspaces in Crenshaw, investing in real estate, pushing financial literacy, and teaching ownership to the streets. He spoke openly about breaking cycles and building generational wealth without relying on labels or corporate structures. When a rapper shifts from artist to community power figure, people start paying attention. Then comes Dr. Sebi. Nipsey announced he was producing a documentary about Sebi, the herbal healer known for claiming to cure AIDS and other diseases naturally. In the late 80s, Sebi was sued and taken to court over those claims. Multiple patients testified under oath that he cured them, and he walked free. To some, That made him a threat to pharmaceutical corporations. To others, exposing his story would disrupt medical profit systems. Lisa Left Eye Lopez of TLC was another high-profile artist who visited Sebi. She promoted his methods and planned to build a wellness center. She died in a sudden car crash in Honduras, the same place she was studying under Sebi. Two famous artists tied to Sebi, 2 deaths years apart. That connection never stopped raising eyebrows. The day Nipsey died, he was outside his marathon store in his own neighborhood. No heavy security, broad daylight. Camera footage shows the shooter walking up, firing, leaving, and then returning again. Multiple passes in a busy area without interruption. That's not typical street violence pacing. That's confidence and timing. Later, Nipsey's documentary on Sebi didn't continue as planned. What he intended to expose and the scale of his influence at that moment is what keeps this theory circulating. Theory number 4. Aaliyah's death was orchestrated, not accidental. Aaliyah's plane crash on August 25th, 2001 is one of the most suspicious tragedies in music. Officially, it was ruled as an accident, but every layer of that story feels engineered. Aaliyah was in the Bahamas shooting the Rock the Boat video, but the shoot was never supposed to be there. Director Hype Williams reportedly moved it from Miami, where they were already filming with a green screen, to the Bahamas at the last minute. Some say it was a move to isolate her, because Aaliyah usually traveled with family or her team, and this time she didn't. Before leaving, Lenny Kravitz offered her a private jet, but Hype Williams took that jet instead, forcing Aaliyah to use a smaller plane that wasn't cleared for the load it carried. Witness accounts from a Bahamian local claim she resisted boarding the plane after hearing it was overweight. According to his story, she was given a pill to help calm her and fall asleep, and was then carried onto the plane. This testimony has never been officially verified, but it added fuel to the belief that she didn't willingly board the craft. The pilot, Luis Morales, had traces of cocaine and alcohol in his system, and his license was suspended. Just weeks earlier, he'd been arrested for drug possession. The plane itself wasn't even designed for passengers. It was a cargo aircraft. Yet somehow, it still got cleared for takeoff. And that's not all. 4 days before the trip, Aaliyah's uncle and manager, Barry Hankerson, founder of Blackground Records, went to court and filed a waiver, removing liability if anyone got hurt or killed during the Bahamas shoot. After her death, Hankerson's company reportedly received a $90 million payout. Fans have connected these dots for years. A last-minute location change, a missing family presence, a suspended pilot, a signed waiver days before the crash, and an artist who just started talking about independence and control over her music. It doesn't feel like an accident. It feels like removal. Theory number 5. Tupac faked his death. Makaveli's 7-day theory. This theory claims Tupac staged his death and disappeared, leaving coded messages tied to his Makaveli persona. While in prison, Tupac studied Niccolo Machiavelli, a strategist who wrote about faking one's death to defeat enemies. After being released, Tupac adopted the name Makaveli and recorded the Don Illuminati, the 7-day theory, in 1 week. To believers, he wasn't referencing Machiavelli. He was applying his blueprint. One of the earliest hidden message claims came from an online fan theorist named Mike Frankel. He argued that if you rearrange the letters in the title, you can form the sentence, "Okay, on the 7th, you think I'm dead, yet I'm really alive." In this theory, the 7th refers to the night Tupac was shot, and the 7th day afterward represents a symbolic return, a coded resurrection timeline. No one close to Pac ever verified this, but it spread across early hip-hop forums and became a core pillar of the Makaveli legend. The timeline itself fuels the belief. Pac was shot on September 7th and pronounced dead on September 13th. That's 6 days by standard count. But people argue the shooting day is day 1, completing a symbolic 7-day cycle, mirroring the album's theme and reinforcing the idea of a deliberate exit. Then there are the odd details around the shooting. Tupac was known for always wearing a bulletproof vest, especially after multiple attacks and public beefs. But on the night of the biggest boxing fight in Las Vegas, in a crowded area, during a time of high tension, he didn't even wear one. No explanation was ever confirmed. The aftermath raised more questions. Tupac was reportedly cremated less than 24 hours after the autopsy, unusually fast for a high-profile homicide. No public funeral, no open casket. The crematory worker allegedly disappeared from public records shortly after, fueling speculation online. Symbolism in his music fed the theory too. The I Ain't Mad At Ya music video, filmed before his death and released right after he was reported dead. showed Tupac getting shot, going to heaven, and watching over people. Fans didn't buy the coincidence. They saw the messaging. Paperwork inconsistencies kept things alive. The death certificate listed the wrong weight for Tupac, and the coroner report appeared unusually clean. Then come the sightings, especially in Cuba. Tupac had ties to Assata Shakur, who lived there under political asylum. Grainy photos, hotel sightings, blurry street clips, never confirmed, never dismissed. To believers, Tupac didn't die in 1996. He vanished, shed Tupac Shakur, and completed the transformation into Makaveli. Theory number 6. Jay-Z, Illuminati influence, and time traveler evidence. This theory claims Jay-Z's rise wasn't just talent and business, but backing from elite networks tied to secrecy, influence, and long-term power structures. Jay-Z went from Brooklyn projects to becoming hip-hop's first billionaire. He didn't just dominate music. He moved into luxury champagne, streaming platforms, tech investment, art, real estate, and global politics. To conspiracy circles, that level of access doesn't happen without high-level backing. Symbolism is where people start. Jay-Z uses the Rockefeller diamond hand sign, and fans point out its resemblance to the Eye of Providence symbol used in Illuminati imagery. On stage, in videos, and in photos, the triangle symbol repeats. Supporters say it isn't branding, it's allegiance. Then there's the name. Jay-Z refers to himself as Hov, short for Jehovah, a God reference. In hip-hop, confidence is normal, but conspiracy communities argue that openly claiming a godlike persona while displaying esoteric symbols leans into something deeper, self-coronation. Then there's the photo. An archival image from Harlem in the early 1900s shows a man who looks nearly identical to Jay-Z. Same jaw, same eyes, same posture. The photo spread online for years, fueling a time travel theory. Most call it coincidence. Others say it proves Jay-Z comes from a bloodline or program outside normal time. Even the rise of Beyonce gets pulled into his timeline. Two of the most influential artists of their era, joining forces, expanding power into fashion, film, global touring, and political access. To some, it doesn't look like fame. It looks like dynasty building. Theory number 7. Prodigy was eliminated for exposing hidden power groups. Prodigy was one of the first mainstream rappers to name secret societies directly in his lyrics. Long before Illuminati rumors became internet culture, he rapped, "Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body." He didn't treat it like a metaphor. He claimed it was literal, and in interviews he doubled down. While others played with symbolism, Prodigy called out names and systems on record. During his prison time in the mid-2000s, he wrote handwritten letters warning about government agendas, media programming, and hidden influence in hip-hop. Those letters were published online in 2008, fueling the idea he wasn't just theorizing. He was documenting what he believed he saw firsthand. His criticisms weren't limited to rappers. He publicly questioned powerful entertainment figures and said certain artists were being placed by the industry before industry plant even became a phrase. He positioned himself as someone trying to wake up the culture from inside the machine. Near the end of his life, Prodigy spoke about writing another book and expanding on his views. Not just street stories, but commentary on power, food systems, and hidden agendas. Then, the setting of his death sparked suspicion. He was hospitalized in Las Vegas during a heat wave, something he historically avoided due to his sickle cell. He was recovering, reportedly stable, and then choked in the hospital when staff briefly stepped away. A lifelong fighter, known with a chronic illness, dies in a medical facility, suddenly, while planning future work. The timing added to the whispers. He was scheduled to perform that same night, and was still active, not fading. It wasn't a slow decline. It was abrupt, controlled environment timing. To believers, Prodigy wasn't just a legendary MC. He was a voice pointing at systems bigger than hip-hop.